All right, welcome to Gun Talk Hunt. We're talking hunting on Gun Talk. This week, we've got Mike McNett with DoubleTap Ammo. He loads hundreds and hundreds of calibers, cartridges for hunting, also for defensive stuff, but testing what it works, what doesn't, out in the field, what works, what doesn't. You guys have the fun job of saying, does it actually work? I guess we have to go hunting to find out.
Exactly, yeah.
Today, Gun Talk Hunt is brought to you by ATN Optics, the future of optics, as well as Timney Triggers, American-made triggers for a long, long, long time. Springfield Armory as well. Timney, if you want to become a better shooter, Mike, how important is a trigger?
Oh my gosh. If you want to shoot accurately, having a good trigger is one of the most important things you can have.
I think people are used to Timney, and just a little pro tip for you, it's actually Timney. A lot of us say Timony.
Well, yeah.
But who cares? You can call it whatever you want. Just go to their website and buy some. It's probably what they want me to say. But easy to install. They have triggers for all types of rifles and shotguns, actually. If you want to be accurate with your turkey gun, have a good trigger. That's also a good idea, too. So check them out at timneytriggers.com. All right, Mike, hunting, DoubleTap Ammo. You guys have hundreds of loads, and you test all this stuff. So for hunting, and we're thinking like maybe specifically like big game, whether that's whitetail or elk or going to Africa or whatever, people love to argue about calibers and what you should use. I got a funny story for you. So I'm down here in South Louisiana, and for the most part, it's thick.
Oh yeah.
It's thick woods. It's difficult to have long shots down here.
True.
But I will talk to my buddies at barbecues, and they will talk about how they love their 300 Win Mag for whitetails in Louisiana. I'm like, do you hunt a bean field or something?
That's the only way, yeah.
No, just, man, it drops it. It's a laser beam. I'm like, I know. But if you shoot a deer in the heart with a 243, it will also drop it.
That's right.
And I won't have a detached retina.
Yeah. Well, and then on top of that, you won't have the entire two front shoulders ruined.
Right.
That's the other part too.
So you've done a bunch of different hunting. I mean, what do you like to hunt?
Oh gosh, I don't discriminate. I love hunting. It is part of the thing I love the most about hunting is getting out and just getting away. You know, I'm sure that I'm no different than anyone else. There's a lot of clutter, a lot of stuff going on all the time, constantly, and it's nice to just throw on a backpack or you know, a gunsling over your shoulder and just disappear into the woods, whether it's in Canada or America or Africa or wherever, Louisiana. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of America. I'm just kidding.
we kind of speak English down here. Yeah.
No, I love it down here actually. But it doesn't matter where it is. I really enjoy getting out and getting away and just having a chance to just kind of drain the clutter and focus on you know, the stock and focus on you know, trying to find where they're at and trying to get the right, you know, animal or the kind of the one-on-one thing. Depending on the animal, sometimes it's not really a one-on-one thing if you're going out prairie dog hunting, but yeah, if you're out after an elk or something like that, you're trying to find the right one and you scout it and you stalk it and you find it. And sometimes you do come away with nothing, but it's a fantastic hunt for me most of the time, even if I come away with nothing, because that's what I take away from hunting the most.
This fall, did you make any hunts? Shoot anything?
This one, the last fall?
Yeah.
Last fall, I was busy doing a ton of stuff. I really didn't even get a chance. I ended up going and getting a couple hogs. Okay. It's just, I mean, that's not a standard tag that you draw and you know, but it's fun. I love hog hunting. So
hogs are tough.
They are.
I mean, we were talking about this on a previous show, and they have this plate that you have to break through. When we talk about, and you're an ammo guy and testing and all that stuff, and what's the right load for it. I mean, they can be tough animals, and they get, especially the bigger ones.
So I like to hunt hogs mostly with handguns. Okay. I really enjoy that, and so when I do use, well, 10 millimeter on one and 327 Federal on the other. And
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The 327 Federal with the 120 hard cast that we make
that'll penetrate.
It's heavy for caliber, and you have to have something that holds its shape, and it's a hard cast lead will hold its shape and cut.
What kind of gun were you shooting?
It was a Ruger single 6 or single 7, what do they call it?
Single action revolver?
Yeah, single action revolver with a 5.5-inch barrel, I think.
Cool.
And really fun.
Taking down a hog with a 32 caliber bullet.
Yeah, it hammered it.
I bet you some people would not think that's possible.
You know what?
Handgun.
A lot of people don't think it's possible. That 327 has a lot of power if you can harness it and use the right bullet, and it's a ton of speed. Like that 120 is going 1,500 feet per second or something like that.
So you mentioned hardcast, and hardcast is kind of this little magic thing, because when you said a 327 Federal going into a hog, I'm going, really? I mean, okay. But then you said hardcast, oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it changes everything with handguns.
What is the deal for people who maybe are not as familiar with hardcast, and certainly for handgun hunting? What is the deal with hardcast? Why is it so magical? Why does it perform?
Well, two things you need to have is you need to have penetration when you're handgun hunting. That's number one, because typically handguns have the hardest time penetrating. They don't have the power.
Less power. Yeah.
Number two is you want to have some damage. So if you use, let's say we're going to use we'll use 10 millimeter, one of my favorite ones, and we're using an FMJ that has a rounded nose on in the front, and we're shooting it. You're going to get some good penetration, but you're not going to get a whole lot of damage on the way through. So you're not going to stop the hog. Let's use hogs again. You're going to stop the hog necessarily unless you spine it or central nervous system, the head or something like that. You usually, and a lot of times with the rounded surface on the front, it can glance off big heavy plates, and it won't bounce off. That's a misnomer, but it can move the trajectory of the bullet.
Well, so if you were shooting at the vital zone and it deflects off the plate, and it could go out the bottom, and now maybe you didn't even hit the heart of the lungs.
Yeah, you wounded the animal, and now the animal might be never recovered and just suffer in the darkness.
Which is really, I think probably most people listening, but I mean, that's completely undesirable for a lot of different levels. I mean, the idea is we want it to drop right there, but if it's not right there, then very soon after, we don't want to lose animals. So,
you're 100% right. When you have a cutting surface in the front, and we call it a meat plot, the actual cutting surface.
The front of the bullet.
Yeah.
When it's a sharp, it's flat, but it's sharp.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so when it hits, it cuts through the bone. I've seen tons and lots and lots of animals that have been hit with hard cast bullets, and it actually puts a hole that you could put a pencil through
the
bone. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's unless it's going really, really fast, it'll put the hole and splinter the bone out.
Right.
But if it's like on a big animal, really big animal, it actually can put a pencil through the hole. It's pretty interesting.
Wow.
But it holds its trajectory and shoots straight. And so you still get the penetration you'd get with an FMJ, but you get the damage and the straight line trajectory with that bullet.
Where you put it is where it's going to go.
That's right.
Like you're like a laser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and if you think of it this way also, if you're going to push through something, and you're going to use let's say an ice pick to push through something, let's say a piece of meat on the table, or you're going to take a big carpenter's hammer and hit that same piece of steak and hit it hard enough to go through it. Which one's going to leave the biggest impression on that steak?
Right.
And both are going through, and one's an FMJ swirling around. The other one is that flat point, like on a hammer. It goes through and it shocks, and it creates a larger wound channel than even the cut.
Yeah.
And I've seen it lots of times where you're like, that's a good solid inch wide diameter wound channel, but we're shooting a 10 millimeter 200 grain. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But it's because as it hits, it's going so fast, hitting at 12 or 1300 feet per second.
Yeah.
It's not just cutting, it's fracturing off the tissue around the cut. And so it creates a permanent wound channel, kind of like a hollow point, but it never opens up and parachutes like a hollow point.
Now I remember you telling me, what's fun is also you get stories from customers about using this stuff. Didn't you have a guy use handgun hunting with a 10? Was it a bison? Is that what I recall?
Yeah.
With a handgun?
The 10 has now, I think we've had 3 guys now do bison with our 10 millimeter 200 hardcast. And the first one I ever got was a guy with a Glock 20. So just a great defensive firearm that he took out to go hunting. 25-yard shot the bison's massive, massive animal, and hit it a good hit, and it didn't hit any structure on the animal, and the animal's so big he didn't know he was dead yet. That's what happened. And so the animal took a knee and ate some grass, decided it was going to graze a little bit more while it was sick. Yeah. And so he took one more shot at it and took a rib as it's going through as well. Okay. And then it fell over. It was done. And he had a picture he sent me of him holding the heart. And I'm telling you, the heart on that thing was as big as the dude's chest. It was huge. Really? Yeah, it was massive, and it had 2 holes right through the heart. And he recovered both those bullets, but only because he was shooting at an angle that they caught it in the shoulder. Otherwise, they would have kept going all the way.
The penetration is crazy.
Measured in feet, not inches. Right. Yeah, it was crazy. I've had with that same round, that 10 millimeter. I've had a friend of mine take 3 Cape Buffalo, and I've had many elk and big animal, moose. Had a guy take a 10.5-foot Kodiak and 18 with it.
With a 10 millimeter?
With a 10 millimeter pistol? He shot it on the point of the shoulder.
Jeez,
yeah. So wow. He was hunting, and he had I can't remember what it was, 416 or 375.
So he had a rifle.
Yeah, he had a big rifle. I mean, he was. Okay. He had our stuff in it. Something that was just ugly to just take that thing to the ground, sure. Right? And he, I don't know if he parked the gun somewhere to pee or something like that. He didn't have the gun on him at the time. And he was hunting with a guide, and here it comes. It says about 15 yards, and that was the one he wanted anyway. It
was a big bear. Yeah. He wanted to shoot it. It also was really close to him.
Yeah, and it wasn't charging him. Okay. So there wasn't any adrenaline rush in charging. Otherwise, he'd probably been on his back even if he had killed it. Yeah. It was just 20 yards away, which is really close for a 10.5-foot bear. And he hit it on the point of the shoulder. He didn't get a second shot off because it didn't like that very much. Right. And went into the alders and piled up. Wow. It was when they finally, because they give it time to stiffen up, and after half an hour they went in and it was gone. Wow. So you want to give it time to expire. You don't want to go in there while he's wounded and angry. Not that animal. No way. That's so. Sometimes you can take a smaller caliber and make it into something more than you would normally think it is if you have the right bullet, the right load.
So we have, in the last several years, we have some interesting rifle rounds coming out. Obviously, 6.5 Creedmoor it's not a fad. I mean, it is exploding.
Not anymore. No, it's the real deal.
And then we've had these little offshoots of the 26 Nosler, and Nosler's brought out their variety of the 28 and the 30 and all this. And now we've got the 6.5 PRC, the 300 PRC, the 6 millimeter arc is this latest thing. Yeah. Now that's not, I mean, certainly you could use it for hunting, but a lot of this stuff is driven by the long range shooting craze. Yeah. There's this other little weird offshoot of long range hunting, which I'm really not. When people talk about long range hunting, you have to really clarify for people and go, look, animals are not targets.
That's right.
Okay. if you are capable of making a longer range shot, and long range is all subjective.
Of course.
You know, what's 400 yards, 450 yards for me would be, that's a pretty long shot. If I had a really good rest and I knew the conditions, I feel comfortable taking that. Now you shoot all the time. You know what your rifles, your loads do. You've taken some longer shots.
Yeah, I have. You don't take them lightly, and you don't take the shot unless you know you can get a clean, or you have a reasonable expectation you're going to get a clean kill.
Yeah.
Because you're 100% right. They're not targets. If you want to shoot a 1,000-yard target, then go to the range, shoot some steel.
Yeah.
Shoot some paper, have fun. I do it all the time. I shoot tens of thousands of rounds at 1,000 yards every year.
And that's why I say you are more qualified than some guy sitting on his couch watching some show talking about long range hunting.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, some of that stuff is not true. I don't want to burst your bubble, but not everything on TV is true.
That's correct.
And when they say that elk was 900 yards, it may not have been 900 yards.
Sometimes they just use the illusion of the camera showing how far away it is to make you think it's 900.
And really, that, you know, it kind of irritates me, because I know that a lot of the guys that do that stuff are very qualified and they can make those shots. But obviously, if they screw up and wound an animal, they're not going to show that.
No
generally.
way.
And also, they don't explain all that goes into that kind of stuff. But, you know, back to kind of, you know, if you shoot tens of thousands of rounds at that 1,000-yard distance, and you very comfortable making those shots. We were talking about even in Africa, you had some fun, huh?
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing that's really interesting. I went over there, one of the times I was over, I took the 26 Knowledge was brand new, and I had one of the first rifles ever in it. I got a reamer from them to make a custom rifle, and before they made their own rifle and all that stuff. And then was doing some load development, and I got really familiar with that caliber over about a 10-month, 12-month period, where I took it hunting every chance I get. I took it out to the range every chance I got. I shot a lot of rounds through it, and it's a really flat shooting round. Yeah. And it's very forgiving with the wind. That's one thing.
That's the idea. I mean, it's longer bullets and all that stuff.
And that's the 6.5 Creedmoor and the PRCs and all those. One thing that they're good at is you take your first shot in a competition or something like that, and you're off. You can see the impact, adjust for it. On hunting, you can't do that. Your first shot has to be good.
True.
And so we're
not just lobbing bullets in until we hit something.
That's right. Yeah. You can't make the adjustment and hope that animal will stay still or not wounded.
Right.
And so the first shot, really, you have to have the wind the first shot, and you have to be able to do the cold bore right now. And the 26 is one of the better ones to do that with, if not the best. So we had this 127 solid copper round that it's a fantastic load. It's going 3,600 feet per second. And I made some really cool shots on targets, and then stateside on some animals at longer range. And I felt really confident with it. I said, hey, why don't we figure out a place where we can, while I was over there, why don't we find a place where we can shoot a little longer range and have some fun here in Africa? And my PH said, sure. And we went to about 5,000 feet elevation, which in South Africa is hard to find. And it was actually cold. Yeah. It was kind of cool.
Going up on the mountain.
Yeah, it was like in July, and it was cold.
Yeah.
And anyway, there's really wide open flat areas, and there was springbuck out there. And they had way too many in this area. They'd eaten themselves out, and they said, we're doing a cull here.
Okay.
So can you help us out? And, basically, you're helping us out. So, I mean, the cost is really small, and why don't we see what we can do? And I said, oh, great. And there was no vegetation. I mean, it was barren.
It was picked over.
They literally eaten it. And so people couldn't get in close. And so the typical European hunter and a lot of the American hunters over there, they'd come in and, out past 200, 150, they're not used to it.
Right.
And I'm not saying they're bad shots, they're just not used to it.
They're just not used to it. They don't do it a lot. Yeah. And I know that the PHs will be very suspicious of your shooting ability, especially if anything out of their comfort zone.
Yes. Yeah. So once you get past 200 yards of PHs over there, like, what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah. So I'd already been to Africa with this other guy, this guide here, and made a couple of pretty cool shots. Let's put it that way. And so, and he'd see me at the range shooting and stuff like that. So I said, well, let's do this. And so there was a springbuck at about 750.
And springbucks are little. I mean, they're like 80 pounds, maybe.
Yeah, at the most. Yeah. I like to describe them as like a kind of a lab-sized animal with long legs.
Right.
Yeah, it's and some horns. Very, very small. The actual vitals on them are really like put your two fists together. That's about how big that their vital is. And so I saw it was I think it was 750, and I had my production manager from my shop came along with me on that hunt, and he was on the rangefinder, and he was kind of walking around browsing, and he kept calling out range for me. So I set up. I just put the bipod down.
So you got a good setup.
Yeah.
Were you prone?
Yeah, prone on up a bipod.
Okay. And solid.
Yeah, felt great. There was really there was some wind, but it was really consistent. It wasn't this choppy wind. It was really consistent.
You can deal with wind if it's consistent.
If it's consistent,
for it.
And you know your rifle.
Mm-hmm.
And the cool part was at 5,000 feet, that's pretty close to where I live.
True, right? You're from Utah.
Yeah,
similar elevation.
It was cool, so I didn't have to worry about making all the mental adjustments that you have to make for elevation, which is a killer on a small animal like that at that distance. And so I set up and got ready, and it was taking deep breaths, trying to figure out if I was gonna feel like making the shot or feel like I could make the shot.
Right.
And as I'm doing that, I'm hearing guys in the Afrikaans language behind me just arguing and going after it, and I couldn't really understand what they were doing.
Is there a problem?
They were really going after it, and I finally stopped what I was doing and asked, "Is it okay?" And they said, "No, shoot." So I said, "Great," and I took the shot. Everything was just lined up great. Boom, dropped, and the one guy that I deal with all the time was like, "Yeah, good shot," and the other guy who owned the land was like, "No." I could hear him say no. So we all got in the truck and went down, and it was it was done.
Good shot.
Yeah,
done. Animals down.
Down first shot. Didn't walk one step, and really cool animal. It was neat to see it and all that stuff. But they started having a little argument again, and we put the animal in the back, and they said, "Hey, well, let's go get another one, and we want to make sure that make this cool hunt work." And he immediately said, "Hey, I want you to take another shot at long range. I got to see that. I want to."
He said, "I want you to do it.
I want you to take one at long range."
Okay.
Before he was saying, "It's too much," and this is the guy that I wasn't familiar with,
right?
And he came to me instead of my PH, my professional hunter, and directly said to me, "I'd like you to take another shot. Can you do it again?"
If the conditions are right.
If everything works out, conditions and stuff. Yeah, it's exactly what I said. I said, "Yeah, if it works, I'll do it." And the second shot that we set up for was maybe an hour later or something like that. It was similar, like 770, I think.
That's a long way.
It was a long ways, and that little animal was a long way. I couldn't see it at first. They were pointing it out to me. I'm like, "Where is it?" And then, of course, in the scope, it's fine. But like bare eyes, I was thinking, "Where is that thing?" Because they're so small, and they blend in so well color-wise. Anyway, we found it, and we were kind of on a knoll overlooking it. So like in the bipod in the short grass was beautiful again.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, they're back there yapping again behind me, just going at it. And I couldn't understand what they're saying. I said, "Is everything okay?" Because it looked like they were kind of heated. And they said, "Shoot it, go for it. If you can," the one guy said. "What is this? What's going on over here?" I'm like, am I getting an evaluation? Am I going to get kicked out of the country, or what's going on? So, my friend, calls out the range because he moved a little bit, and it was 770, I think is what it was, and pull the trigger. The wind kicked just a little bit, went about 2 inches back, but still was in the vitals from where I aimed.
Okay, dropped him.
Dropped him. That 26 is way too much horsepower for that, really.
Yeah,
but,
you don't need something that big, but but you know, the thing is, it still had the energy out at that distance to drop the animal.
Oh yeah, it was clean kill.
So what's the deal with the trackers and Africans behind you arguing?
So on the first animal, the guy that was familiar with me said, "Oh yeah, he'll make the shot, no problem. I've seen him shoot." And the one guy behind me said that it's an impossible shot. You can't make that shot because we've never seen it, and they don't have 1,000-yard ranges out there and all that. So you haven't even seen anybody shoot that far before. Yeah. He's like, no, I know. And so they argued about it for a minute, and he said, I'll bet you, because he still had to pay the guy to come onto the land and do all that stuff. He's like, I'll bet you your day fee that he makes a shot. So now I didn't have that pressure on me because they didn't tell me about it. Right. So I'm just shooting in oblivion and just they're focused and I don't even know what's going on behind me. And so when I made the shot, the guy I could tell when we got in the truck that he was pissed
because he lost the bet.
He was unhappy that I had just culled an animal that we came there to do. It was. I mean, maybe that he got some bad news on his text or something. Right. I don't know what was going on. He was actually unhappy that I had hit that animal, and so that was why he immediately
He probably said double or nothing.
That's exactly what he did.
They're running a Calcutta on Mike's shooting.
That's the second shot. That's exactly what he said. They said double or nothing. That's what we're doing right here. And Jacques, the guy that was with me, actually said that he was trying to do more than that.
Really?
Yeah, he was trying. The other guy wasn't having it, but he would definitely want to get his money back.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, but what they were arguing about was it has to be first shot. That's what they were trying to say. It has to be first shot. Yeah, before it was just he had to just get one animal.
We got to raise the stakes. Now that he's seen that you can actually make a shot.
And so, but none of that pressure was on me because I had no idea. And if I'd have known they were doing that, I probably would have told them to shut up. You're being a bunch of kids,
right?
And I don't want the shot now.
Yeah, I don't want to be a part of this.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a part of this scheme. But yeah, behind my back, all that was going on, and the funny part is that somehow never got passed along to me.
Right. What's
the money part of it?
How do I get something out of that?
I didn't ever see that. I mean,
you get the story.
Maybe he bought me a Coke. I don't know.
One of the things we've been talking about on this podcast is there's a lot of interest right now in people thinking they'd like to get into hunting. Mm-hmm. Thinking, whatever it is, the situation going on in the world, there's just a lot of people going, I want to get outdoors more. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to provide for my family. Correct. With, fill the freezer with meat. Mm-hmm. Maybe just an activity that's not going sit in a movie theater or whatever it is. Have you had any experience taking new people hunting? Any thoughts for someone if they're going, I'm not really familiar with this. How do I get into it? And I mean, I guess on your end, you're the ammo guy. What caliber or bullet, does it matter how much? Sometimes I feel like they worry too much about that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people worry too much about the caliber. First of all, when you bring in somebody new in, especially if they're new to the hunting idea, you got to let them know that we're not like all bloodthirsty cannibals that want to blow the animal to bits and then eat it on the spot without cooking it. Like we're out there for like you already said, for the experience. We're out there for the satisfaction of being able to get a cleanly harvest an animal. The satisfaction of cleanly being able to hit.
Yeah.
And mano a mano take that animal.
Well, like you just said, even in Africa, they were actually wanting you to cull a few of these animals because they'd eaten up all the habitat for themselves. So people who don't understand it will say, well, I'd like you to not shoot any of the animals because I love the animals. Well, that's actually counterintuitive. But I understand it sounds like it would make sense, but it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense.
You have to manage the population. And worldwide now, for the most part, certainly in North America, we have the conservation model that all of these seasons are set by wildlife biologists who study this stuff.
That's right.
And they say in order to have a healthy population and control the population and actually help this species, this is how many animals we should take.
That's right.
Out of this area.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, we are the conservationists. We're the ones who raised our hands and said, please tax us.
Yeah, we'll pay for this. Yep.
Yeah, set an extra excise tax on ammo and guns and some shooting accessory stuff, hunting accessory stuff.
Yep.
To help pay for conservation.
Exactly.
Billions of dollars.
Yeah.
All right, so give us the 2-minute spiel. If somebody says, Mike, I'm thinking I want to get into hunting. I guess, what should I hunt? And what would be a good caliber?
What you should look at is let's say for a common species, let's just say, because we won't get into Africa stuff right now. If you're looking to hunt deer and hogs and that type of thing, you can get into that with a 22 and 24 caliber centerfire rifles. You just need to use a load that's using a proper bullet. You can't, I can't express myself enough here. You can't use light varmint bullets when you're going after deer. I've seen it a lot of times.
Yeah,
or
that's
hogs.
a problem.
People don't understand it. So you just, if you're going to go after deer and you go buy a 7 mag, it's not as important what bullet you use as if you go after deer with a 223.
Right, or a 22 250, a 243.
Yeah.
We've said it over and over because it's just such a common caliber cartridge. The 243 will kill like all the white-tailed deer if you shoot them in the right spot.
That's right.
But the 243 is versatile, and if you're not paying attention and you pick up some really light bullet varmint load, that's not appropriate for deer.
Yeah, for example, we make a 55 grain at 4100. Okay,
wow.
Killer, like coyote and all the varmints and rabbits and stuff, prairie dogs. But you put that in your 243 that you're going up here in the thick woods and you go hit a big whitetail with it, you are not going to get the penetration to the vitals. It's going to die eventually.
Yeah.
But you are not going to get the penetration to the vitals at all. You need to make sure that it's in that heavier bullet. In let's say 243, you want it 85 grains or heavier.
Yeah.
And you want to have a heavy construction because typically let's say here and most of America, your shots are going to be under 100 yards.
Right.
And so the speed on that bullet's still going to be going close to 3,000 feet per second.
Yeah.
And so that bullet is going to come apart if you don't have a bonded bullet or a monometal bullet, which is like a solid copper bullet.
So pick the appropriate load for what you're going to go do.
That's right.
And I would also offer that don't listen to your buddies who tell you need this certain powerful rifle round. If you're going to go hunt whitetail or something of that size, shoot what you shoot well. If you can shoot a 243 well and you're not comfortable with bigger Magnum stuff, don't worry about it.
That's right.
Because it's more important to hit that animal in the right spot and drop them than you're shooting, like you said, a 7 mag and you're really not comfortable with it, the noise, the recoil, whatever, and you could develop bad habits, develop a flinch.
That's right.
Those types of things.
And new shooters, especially, if you're bringing a new shooter in, let's say you've never hunted before. I say, Ryan, come with me. Let's get you a tag and let's go deer hunting. And you say, okay, cool. And you trust Mike to work with you. Don't put a 300 Win Mag in his hand.
No.
Don't do it.
No.
Don't put the 243 in his hand. Put a 270 in his hand. Put a something and have enough knowledge to know that you've got the right load as well. It's like you go buy a Ferrari and you put tractor tires on it. Right. Well, the Ferrari eventually will get there. It's just not what you bought the Ferrari for. Or buy a massive mutter truck and go put low pro Pirellis for the Ferrari on it.
Right.
Well, it's going to get you there. The gun's going to shoot, but the ammo is the tires.
Yeah.
The ammo is not the gas. Ammo is not the gas. Ammo is the tires. That's how it performs as the car is moving.
Yeah.
And if you put the wrong tires on the vehicle, it will not perform like it's supposed to. It will still drive down the road, your gun will still fire if you have the wrong ammo in it, the wrong type of ammo for what you're trying to hunt. But it will not do what you thought it was going to do.
Yeah.
That Ferrari will fly off the track and wreck if you put tractor tires on it.
It doesn't go as fast as they said it would.
Well, it didn't quite perform like I thought it was going to. And that's exactly the way it is with, like if you did a 223 and you say, okay, well, will this work for whitetail? Well, the right bullets.
If it's legal in your state.
Yeah, if it's legal, first of all, of course, if it's legal in your state, and I'm just going with the extreme here. It's legal in your state and you can legally hunt with it. You better make sure you got the right bullet.
Sure.
You don't use the FMJs that tumble. It's not a great idea.
Right.
Don't use, most of it's varmint stuff. Don't use it. Use a solid copper 62 grain or something like that that's going to do what it's supposed to do and hold together. Or 243 is a safer bet because it's legal everywhere. But use the right tires for your car. Use the right load for your gun, and and using a kinder, gentler recoiling rifle for your new friends that are coming into hunting.
Be more comfortable with shooting it, and they'll shoot it better.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be more comfortable shooting like you said, a 243 than they will be a 300 Win Mag.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being with us, man.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
If you're interested in getting started in hunting, you reach out to us, ask us questions, or go to guntalk.com, sign up for our newsletter, download the Gun Dealio app. We always have deals there. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching Gun Talk Hunt.